Magic 2014 Duels of the Planeswalkers is the fourth installment in a series of games based on the collectible card game Magic the Gathering. Using cards from the main game, Planeswalkers is a self-contained version that allows new players, or those that, like myself, stopped playing a long time ago, a chance to experience the current game without dedicating a large chunk of our living space and budget to store all the cards in. Multiple decks with varying colors and mechanics are available to play with, as well as the ability to earn or unlock more cards for those specific decks and try them out against your friends. A nice UI and pretty solid gameplay with fun multiplayer highlighted the game, with some of the design elements in other areas bringing it down and making this title kind of a mixed bag that is geared for a specific audience. The game opens with an optional tutorial that does a nice job of explaining the basics and lining out how the mechanics of the game work. After running this, you are given a deck and can continue on the story campaign, where you will play through 5 chapters that lead up to a final battle. Each of the decks you face off against is based on a different mechanic, and the number of colors used per deck vary from 1 to 3 depending on the deck. As you conquer each chapter, you unlock the final deck you faced and can then use it if you choose in the rest of the campaign. The decks come with 60 cards to start with and have an additional 30 cards that can be unlocked one at a time by playing with the deck, or purchasing the unlock code for 99 cents, which will unlock all the cards. There are also 10 additional cards that can be unlocked using promotional codes, but since whatever events triggered the codes have come and gone, they are readily available just by Googling them. One of the first things I noticed in the game was the intuitive interface, which I thought was put together pretty well, with a few minor exceptions. Mousing over a card expands the image slightly, while using the mouse wheel will zoom in further to read the text, and also opens up the option to read about the abilities in more detail. Cards that can be cast are highlighted for you, as well as those whose activated abilities are available as well. Each phase of the game has a timer on it when you're playing against real players, and this helps to keep things moving and does a decent job of pacing each match. You will want to play around with some of the options, as there are a couple of default settings that can make strategy a little dodgy. Most spell effects are pretty straightforward, and selecting targets is pretty simple, but you do have to be careful of any card that says you may do something. These cards will allow you to complete the spell without actually getting the benefit of it if you click the confirm button before completing every possible action available. In addition to the campaign, there is also a sealed deck mode and a multiplayer mode. Sealed deck is basically a booster draft style where you are given packs of cards and then can construct a deck with them. Here you play against another set of decks like a chapter in the campaign, gaining a few more packs along the way to further customize your deck. You are given 2 sealed deck slots to begin with, and can open up to 3 additional slots for $1.99 apiece. Multiplayer can be set up locally and over the internet with up to 4 players in free-for-all or 2-headed giant matches, with either the unlocked decks or the sealed decks, although you cannot mix the 2 deck types together. Empty slots can be filled with an AI opponent, and if anyone drops from the game before it ends, the computer will fill the slot in the absent player's place. The AI in the game is decent, nothing to write home about, but as far as the standard play goes, it does the job, although it will definitely make some questionable moves now and then, especially in matches with more than one opponent. I have to say that as much as I liked the matches and the way the gameplay works, as a former player of the physical card game, I was disappointed with the lack of a single pool of cards to make a deck from. Each one exists in its own space, and you are never allowed to customize it with cards outside of that setup, and that is really the heart of what a CCG is supposed to be. Wizards has definitely not tried to hide the fact that Duels of the Planeswalkers is, for them, not much more than a way to try and get people to buy into the real thing. There are ads that sometimes pop up after you finish a match telling you about Magic events where you can play against other people and buy the cards, as well as going so far as to have a store locator in the options menu. Magic 2014 is a fun time for a little while if you are the target audience, which is someone who is new to the game or someone who has no interest in buying into the physical one. There is a place here also for people like me who have been out of it for a while and are curious about what it looks like now, but don't want to have to buy into the collecting side again. That being said, the inability to really create your own deck out of a large pool of cards, even if it was only the cards in the Planeswalkers game itself, does hamper the experience. Those of you who are currently involved in playing the physical or digital version of the complete game will not really find anything of interest here. I was able to pick up the base game of Planeswalkers on Steam over the holidays for about $3 on sale, which for me is a decent price for what it is and doesn't make me feel too bad about buying a few of the $1 unlock codes. Currently the base game is listed on Steam for $9.99 with no discounts, and even at that price, it's not a bad little game, just don't expect the full experience.